What's up, y'all? You are watching the Swole Initiative Network on a Cozy Monday stream. So thank you for being here. We're going to be doing a deep dive Q&A run by the one and only Michael, who is, across from me.
I'm going to switch us. I'm going to switch us. Check this out.
No.
Bam.
There.
Bam.
He's down there.
Whoa!
Nope, he's over there. No, that way. Anyway, doesn't matter. Either way, you can see him. It's Mike. He's going to be hosting. So we're just going to announce a couple of brands that make all of our streaming stuff possible, starting with Norse Foundry, which we roll all of our dice with and use all of the music, including these cozy lo-fi beats you can hear in the background. It's all, I almost said royalty-free music, so you can use it in your streams or whatever you want. It's royalty free. You ain't gonna get dinged. Also, Dogmite, who make all of our wooden tabletop accessory stuff, all custom things. They are amazing. There's a code in the chat as well. There is also Griffin Co., who make all of our custom terrain and minis, and they do a bunch of other things as well. And finally, Hero Forge, which make all of our custom hero miniatures. So go and check those out. And we have a sub goal as well. It is 25. We're at 17 right now. Thank you, guys. Once we hit 25, we're going to give away one of these Particle Blast Ironforge sets from Norse Foundry, because they're kind of like sparkly and multicolored and rainbowish, because it's Pride. So happy Pride. And whoa, Paulie. Thank you, buddy.
Holy moly. We're so close now.
Now we only need 3. So yes, lots of Pride-related giveaways this month, and we are giving away 50% of all of our proceeds to the Trevor Project this month to help out our infringed peoples, our brothers, sisters, and in-betweeners. So yes, I think that's pretty much it. Let me hand it over to Michael.
Hey, that's me. Hello. Hi. Welcome back, friends. I am getting so used to seeing your faces, and I love seeing y'all on Mondays. I usually see just Eric and Jay, but Alsa.
That's me.
Hi.
Hi.
I get to see you. It's fun. I like this.
It's so nice hanging out with you guys. We always get extremely chaotic. I'm really worried.
Yes, we do.
True.
It's not too chaotic tonight. It's more fun, loosey goosey, deep dive stuff. Gonna be throwing some curveballs y'all's way tonight. We've been asked questions like, "What's your favorite class? What's your favorite type of campaign to run?" You know, those sorts of questions. But we're gonna get a little deeper, a little under the skin. So let's just dive right in. Chat, we're not going to be doing chat questions tonight, but you can still be here and earning all of your flex points. Those are the channel points down by your in the chat right here. It has a little arm, looks like that. It's bigger than this one, but it's still there, I promise. It's more like that one. It's that one over there, yeah. But you can go check that out. There's tons of cool channel point stuff down there you can look at. And you can use those points on our regularly scheduled D&D games on Fridays and Mondays. So please hang around and earn some points, and everyone wins. Tonight we're going to be learning some stuff, and the first question that I have for y'all, just to get started, is going to be a really, really fun one once I get this little thing disappearing here. Wow. There we go. My first question to you all is, tabletop role-playing games, or TTRPGs, typically have a culture of safe spaces. What's the first boundary that you set for yourself and for others when you play with a person or group for the first time? And anyone can start. It's a tough one. It's a thinker.
I know mine.
Talking about like personal lines and veils, those kind of things, or are you talking about like as a GM, like hard stops that we put in place, or
Yeah, however you
everything,
feel like.
all of it?
Yeah, pretty
Yes.
much all of it. Personally,
All the
GM
above.
wise, as a player, however you approach that question, feel free to tackle it that way.
Also, do you have something to say?
I do, from like a player perspective, and I think like I'm so glad that this has become so prevalent in the gaming space, because it's not really a conversation that had existed even, you know, at common tables, like even like 5 years ago. And I think that that's when I first encountered something that I was like, wow, I'm so not okay with this, and like didn't realize that that was a line for me. And for me, it comes down to like autonomy. Like if someone's going to take away my agency, my physical agency, and tell me what my body is forced to do, like against my will, that's a hard stop for me. And that's something that happened in a game and I had to like walk away from. And that was actually the first time I played Adeline was at a home game. And that is what caused me to leave that game, because I was like, I brought it up afterwards with the DM. I was like, hey, this is a line. Please don't cross it again. They crossed it again. And so I left the game. And I'm so glad to be able to resurrect her in a space that I think feels a lot safer. And even moments where, like, you know, there are times when your character is influenced by outside things and they're going to act maybe against their like best intentions. But I always feel like I ultimately have the autonomy to do with that what I will. And that I think is so important to me. So that is one that, like, leading now, I'm like, okay, that has to be like, I'm in control. Like at the end of the day, like, don't tell me what's happening to me. I will, you know, dictate that. And yeah, that's an important one. And it's something too, like if I run a game, like especially running horror games like Cthulhu, like you run into a lot of stuff that can be really challenging. And sometimes you have to, especially in that game, people act against their instincts based on the insanity that they're experiencing. And that is a line that you have to toe a lot. But I always try to be mindful of that too, and be like, well, here is what your inclination is. And the players are always so good where they're kind of ready to dive into that madness. So I give them that little piece and they take it like all the way. And I'm like, yes, okay, fantastic. And it's about that trust. And you have to like have that at the table for it to work.
Good answer. That's wow.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. That's actually like the like topic that you mentioned specifically, without trying to go into like specifics and things, because it's Cozy Monday. We don't want to be setting triggers and things. So, but yeah, like talking about that kind of stuff, that has been a topic that I've broached myself on some of my Instagram videos and things. And there's been some horror stories that have come back, like people sharing things with me. And I'm just like, holy crap. Like, because I know like sometimes like when I'm like me and also have a really, what I feel like a really good like player DM relationship where we can bounce stuff off of one another. It could be better.
No, it's not
true at all.
But we bounce stuff off of one another, but we always leave enough room to be able to walk away from it as well. And then if I ever like if any of the chat are regulars in Fables of Galia, we did the addiction arc, which started as a loss of magic arc as well, which is like two like big things to kind of broach with a player. She didn't know it was coming either. But the first thing I did as soon as we kind of dropped the cliffhanger of the magic being lost was like pretty much straight away, like post game, like messaging also like, hey, is this okay? Because I can return it back to you like that, like instantly, like the next game, if you're not okay with it. You know, it's a sorcerer losing magic. That's kind of your whole shtick,
right? But it led to so many great found moments in her development that I was wrestling with unconsciously, and that starting that conversation, you opened that up and really like took that feedback as far as, well, here's where I see her challenge and here's how she's going to deal with it in the unhealthy way potentially. And that like Yeah.
Yeah, so like check-ins super important, and it goes both ways as well. Like you said, like players checking in with their DMs if they don't feel um, like they're being heard, or like triggers are being sort of brought up, and then vice versa. Like when you bring stuff up, check in with your players and make sure that they're okay. Make sure that they're okay with the material that you're presenting and stuff, because you might be like, oh, this is such a fucking dope idea and it's going to lead to so much awesome role playing, and you might end up steamrolling. So always be open to changing your ideas as well. I think that's a big tip that I can give GMs is don't be so bought into your own hype that you can't change your idea if someone doesn't like it, because ultimately it's a group story, and it's about group fun as well. And if there's one player that is not having fun at my table, then I'm not doing my job.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
That's fair.
Like adding on to that, I think creating safe space can happen. It doesn't always happen as like a pre-game like it does now. Like I think now that we have a great culture of, you know, before a game starts, there you can set boundaries and things, but you know those tools they weren't talked about and exist, or they didn't really exist like a while ago when I started playing, but they came up naturally within games. And I think, you know, when you have a player that isn't having a good time, like as a DM and hopefully as a player as well, you can try to recognize when those situations are happening and work to help create that safe space for somebody who's feeling uncomfortable. As an example, like in a game that I was running, and you know, also the DM is a learning experience. You're not going to do it right the first time. You're always figuring out as you go. Don't be afraid to like fail, but sometimes situations will occur, especially in home games that aren't viewed on a stream. I think things can get out of hand a lot quicker, and I allowed something in a game that took away a character's, you know, like player agency. I think some roles were made, and it ended up in a like PvP situation that left a lot of people like really mad at the end of the day. Like two people just were not happy with anything that was going on. So had to kind of like backtrack, be like, okay, I recognize part of this was my fault, but like moving forward, we have to have different tools in place to avoid somebody, casting command on somebody, for example, or using persuasion to try to get something done. Like that, removing that character agency is really like can have a really poor experience and cause real experience for players. So I actually, from moving forward, like I don't have like persuasion and intimidation. Those are roles reserved only for NPCs. Like persuasion and intimidation have to happen in role play only. And I also banned all like actual PvP unless it was agreed upon by both players and it wasn't to solve an outside of game problem.
Right.
Oh no.
Yeah, that can link into games pretty.
I'll see you at the table tonight.
Yeah. But it can happen with like microaggression, just kind of building up to something that you did not intend.
Absolutely, yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head when you're talking about when you said tools. It reminded me there's a lot of really good resources out there for toolkits, especially when folks there's a lot of conversation about there's a little bit of adverse conversation with people can't take jokes anymore. That's typically a defensive thing, and it's important to talk about. And it's not that people can't take jokes, it's just people have their own personal limits, and there's different mediums. We play live. I know you brought that up from from a live perspective, it's kind of hard to control in a live setting. You can't kind of have those sidebars, or they're not very common on live shows. Whereas if you play with a group of friends you've known your whole life, or or random strangers at a comic shop or whatever it is, even when you I've had friends that I've known my entire life, and they have personal life experiences that change who they are. Everyone does, and sometimes a joke that would have been completely fine and absolutely not harmful 6 months ago, I may not have known that they've gone through something since, make the same joke as a callback, and now it's a problem. So Jay, to your point, and Eric, and actually all of your points, check-ins are incredibly useful. I mean, no matter how well you know somebody, kind of setting the standard as you first kind of start the campaign and do those check-ins throughout. And making sure that everyone's okay with something. It's okay to break the immersion for the sake of everyone's emotional state, because if you don't do that, and if you make a mistake, it's also important to understand that it's all about intention, and people, and if you're playing with a group for a long time, 9 times out of 10 the intention is not meant to be harmful, and that's why it is called triggering. Somehow people lose sight of that word and what it means, but it's triggering for a reason. It's an unexpected emotional response. So yeah, great answers, all of you. I think that's incredible. So yeah, good first question. Anything else anyone wants to add to that?
I was trying to look up. I know Gabe James, Gabe Hicks. He is part of something that they're trying to launch. That's like a toolbox for safety tools and things.
Yeah.
Open up those conversations and things, and then be able to record everything, and so you can design your game around it. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, we'll put that in the Discord if we can find it later, for those toolkits. I think that's a good thing to put in there anyway. But yeah, I know on Roll20 and a lot of other places they have digital toolkits for folks that play online. Whether that's just little emotes in chat or hand signals, whatever that might be to you. It's definitely worth looking into and exploring. That way everyone can enjoy as much as they can to the fullest.
Oh, the great one for at-home games is the Red X card.
Yes.
It's just super subtle. You don't have to interrupt anything, but you can be totally discreet with it, or and I think you can do that on Roll20 as well. I think program a Red X card that shows up for just the GM. That if you're going over a line and you're feeling uncomfortable, you can throw that out, and the GM can swerve and change direction, or at least shut down intense descriptions of things. And that way you don't feel like you're interrupting the game, and because it's a big thing to interrupt the whole thing to be I'm not comfortable. Right. A lot of people aren't going to be super forthcoming with that, and they're going to kind of dwell in their own feelings about things. So that's a good way to bring it up.
Absolutely. Good points. And use those folks. Sorry, Eric.
Yeah, I think the anonymous thing to the GM is probably the most useful, because it can be hard to say I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right.
It's very difficult to one, recognize it, and then two, stand up and say something. And if you have to say it in front of everybody, that's just you're more likely to not say it than anything. So an anonymous note to a GM is so good.
I also think it's important to don't push the issue too. If someone says they're uncomfortable, that's full stop. You don't need to know the why necessarily. You know what I mean? You need to know the what, but don't push for the why. Because for some people that's hard to put into words, or even recognize in yourself. Wow, something in me is really anxious right now. I don't fully understand what it is, and that takes a little bit of reflection to figure out your own boundaries. But yeah, I think it's just no is a full sentence, I'm uncomfortable is a full sentence, and intention to pivot regardless of anything around it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's very important, and I think that I agree. Going full circle back to your starting point, also is tabletop RPGs have changed for the better, and I hope they continue to do so. And use the resources at your disposal, and stay safe. So, and emotionally, physically, mentally, just be aware. That's all you can do.
Hmm.
So, awesome. Well, good. I like that. Good convo, guys. Anyone else want to add anything to that while we're on the topic of that? Are we good? All right. Awesome. I'm checking in to make sure. So we'll take it a little bit lighter. We started off heavy. We'll dial it back a bit. Let's go with this one. What's something that one of your Swole Initiative characters has or does that you try to bring back into your own life? It could go a lot of directions. I was nervous about typing this one.
It's so funny. Oh, go first.
No, you go.
Well, I feel like my inclination for characters in the past has always been, I'm gonna be the hero, I'm gonna be the good guy, and like every single time, like outside of the game, I would even ask myself, like, what would my D&D character do? And I'd go and like help someone on the side of the road, or like, yeah, literally have, after asking myself that. Adeline, I don't know if she's like the paragon to really aspire to, like, but that's what makes her so interesting to play, is like, she does, it's less like, the motivations are less righteous and very intellectual. And I think like her curiosity definitely mirrors my like real life curiosity. That, I fully wish I had like a connection with an extraplanar entity. That's what I would bring over. And I fully, like, if I found some haunted ass book in the back of a store, I would also do the exact same thing. I'd be like, oh yeah, let's follow this and see where it goes. Like, so God, I still hope I'll have that opportunity someday. That's what I would take over.
I took a sip at the worst possible moment.
Cthulhu, if you're out there, get at me, bro. Let's talk.
Yeah,
Get in the comments.
Get in the comments.
Yeah, that's awesome. Get in the chaos. That's incredible. I hope for your sake that you get touched by the madness, but not so much that it's detrimental.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
I wish that for you in your future.
Yeah.
Jay, I think you had an answer as well.
Yeah, well, my only player right now, or character I should say, is Lucius, and so I'm struggling to find something that I would take from him forward.
Business oriented.
Yes.
Entrepreneurial minded.
Steals a lot of friends' ideas.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Takes credit for.
Ooh, we stumbled
Takes
on
credit
more
for
than-
enhancing semi-okay ideas.
Oh man.
This is getting into the adversarial off-table.
Roll it out.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess something. He's on this whole like character redemption arc, and so the direction that he's going is relying on other people more.
Okay.
And allowing himself to be vulnerable in front of other people, and allowing those other people to then help. And that's definitely something that I could do with taking. So it's not something that I do, it's something that I could do with taking into the real world. Oh, we just hit our sub goal as well.
Hey!
Dial Up and Paulie and I don't know how to say your name. Aranoyo?
Oh yes.
Sorry. Thank you for all the gifts, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's get a
Aranio.
giveaway going. Gotta be in the US and gotta be in the stream when we call it.
Oh, they said that was good.
That's
You did
good.
it.
Nice.
Hey.
Hey, all right.
Hey!
Did you like phonetically type it in the
Yeah.
chat? Because I see you in the chat all the time, and I'm like, oh look, it's from.
Aranio. You're great. That's incredible. We'll do that giveaway a little bit later on. But thank you so much for getting us here, gang. Stay tuned. Stay tuned for that.
I think getting back to the question, along the lines of like Lucius's character arc, like in a very different way, Zia has I think the overall lesson being like finding family and friends is something that I've probably already like ported over into my personal life, but I think something I'd like to incorporate more of from Zia's character is the just initial trust of strangers. Just like someone new, it's like, hi, like you seem very nice, and like that's not something me as a person is like. I am very much I have a close-knit group of friends, and those are the only people I want like around me, and my friend group grows from like that. It's never stranger like, hello, like I'm Eric, like nice to meet you. And it's I think it's kind of been that way my whole life. But I think there's a lot to say about trusting people in a way that shouldn't be seen as a negative experience.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, man. I mean, we started off, we just met in person for the first time, and
which is wild. Yeah, I know. Like we were all strangers, like online.
Yeah.
For the longest time,
yeah.
But in my mind, as the small introductions that like led up to how we all met, like you were, because of that, I saw you all as very like close friends.
Absolutely.
As opposed to like, oh, there's strangers doing this thing and I'm invited. Like, I don't know why it feels different in my head when you are all strangers. And yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if you and Mike have lower halves. I've seen no proof to this. I don't think that you exist below the torso, but maybe we'll find out at Gen Con. I don't know.
I actually don't. See, I haven't.
Are you just wearing a blanket?
I'm in the basement now. It's cold. I don't have a lower half.
Nice. But no, I so agree with like it's so weird. Like if you think about it, we spend a lot of time together, and we spend a lot of time like conquering and like having challenging conversations and like facing whatevers. But I'm like, it's such a random journey that we all ended up kind of like as this like Swole Initiative like party, and like, but it's so cool because I'm like, I consider you guys like good friends, like, and it's absolutely so bizarre, and it's like, 100%. But it feels like that common understanding and that common passion, I think, brought us together, but also just like we just clicked, like when we we all just play together really well, like, and it's fate. As
But generally, it's hard to find a group like of good people to play with, and I don't know, I just feel really lucky that I play really well with all of you.
Absolutely.
I did an interview on actual play actually. It's a YouTube channel, and he asked me what I look for in new cast members, and I was like, I don't look for new cast members. I was like, but like, because I don't even like calling everyone cast members because we're such close friends now that I'm very protective of that circle as well. And so it's like, you know, if we're thinking about having someone potentially join, then it's like you gotta roll with a couple one shots, see how, like, get feedback from everyone, because I want everyone to be like 500% before they come into the fold. Just because, and this goes back to the first question, right, about trust. The trust has to be there. Like, I trust everyone to be thoughtful about the other players and things, because everyone cares about one another and cares about their experience and things. So I feel like that's how we can get into some pretty deep nitty-gritty stuff and still all be okay. It's because everyone does kind of take that perspective.
Absolutely, yeah. It's this is such a good group. I talk about it all the time to folks. This is a weird story, but I was just talking about everyone and how it's everyone just clicks. This is gonna start off weird. I promise you it gets better. I had termite inspection at my house. I had a termite inspection at my house. A guy knocks on my door. He's like, I love your doormat. It's a Monty Python doormat. I was like, yeah, it's great. He's like, I'm a huge nerd. And he points to his arm, and he has a D20 right here on his arm. And I went, I'm not kidding, same spot. And then he looks at my leg. He's like, is that a Steven Universe Adventure Time tattoo? I was like, yeah. He's like, what the hell is happening right now? I was like, yeah, it's great. I have a huge I have like a D&D dungeon. He goes, can I see it? He goes, I'm working. I'm sorry. I'm a stranger. I was like, no, come on in. And like, he actually knows Jay through social media. He's like, I know that guy. I was like, yeah, he's like a really good friend of mine. We became friends. He's from Wales. He's like, yeah, what the? He's like, he was so confused. And I was like, yeah, look at all this. Like, I have a whole friend group. He goes, I know.
I know those people.
It was the weirdest scenario of all time. But I was like,
Has he ever watched?
Are you here now?
No, I don't think he said he's not. He says he's not on Twitch. He's not on Twitch, but he has seen like YouTube clips or like Instagram clips.
Yeah.
But it was just a small world of things, and I was like, yeah, man, like it's a really great group. He's like, yeah, and I was like so happy to like randomly get to gush about you guys. I was like, yeah, it's just fun. It's a whole fun thing. So it was great. I got to talk all about you guys and Gary Con and Gen Con coming up, and
yeah,
I'm just excited to anytime someone asks me about, they're like, oh, do you do the internet stuff? And I'm like, yeah, and I get to carefully explain that I have real friends, and we found each other on the internet, and we play an imaginary game, and it's the best thing that's ever happened, and I love it.
It's an imaginary game, but we make real memories.
Yeah.
Right.
This is like leading into exactly what I was about to say and this is my mind-boggly thing that when I think about tabletop is we all walk away from the table having these memories, sharing these memories exactly like they happened. But everyone's version is very slightly different.
Yeah.
Right.
Like they saw it differently in their heads.
Oh yeah.
But everyone is like, yes, I remember that.
Oh yeah, when you jumped over that thing and like and you say it like it really, like, oh my god, and then you did that crazy kickflip and like all this stuff. It's like it happened in my brain, so like it's.
Remember when you kickflipped that dragon? Fuck yeah!
Is there any better moment than talking about those things in front of other people and it's completely out of context?
What?
I love that.
Yeah.
That's my
Remember
favorite.
we were at that bar and then insert D&D
Yeah.
related thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Remember when we got jumped in that onsen?
Lit it on fire.
Yeah.
The
Like,
biggest like nerd gush thing is when you start talking about your game.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I don't mean just like as a DM, I mean as a player or anything. When you get talking about a game that you're heavily invested in, and it's just like words just start coming out, and you're like, oh no, this person has no context about what I'm talking about.
It's the best. It really is the
Yeah.
best. Oh
Yeah.
man. I love it. But yeah, it's been fun playing with you guys, and it's just great. So I'm gonna switch the roles here. I'm gonna instead of bringing a character into the real world, what you want to do, let's talk about this. What's the best part about yourself? Oops, where'd it go? Show question.
Just
Yeah,
one.
there you go.
End of question.
What's the best part about yourself that you always make sure to bring to every table, and in what ways do you achieve that? So we're going backwards on this. What do you bring to the table that you're like yeah, I can help with this, or
I feel like the easy answer for me is humor. It's
Yeah.
just I've always enjoyed making people laugh and making people like feel just good
yeah.
and happy. So yeah, I tend to bring humor to whatever character I have. Before I put lots of layers and heartbreak to them, because theater kid
Right.
can't help it.
D&D is really just doing bits, and that is
That's
the
what I was
best
gonna
part
say.
of it.
Yes, it's collectively committing to the bit. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I do love a really, a long inside joke that just keeps going.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love callbacks.
Yeah.
It's so fun. I think that the humor happens really naturally. I think and it's the way that like we break the tension, all of us, but I think it's also like a side effect of playing a game that works that improv muscle that like makes you constantly like quippy and whatever. Like of course it's going to end up like improving that as well. And like even some people are really unintentionally funny, and that is almost even better, and like it just makes me so giddy when that happens in a game.
We love you, Brent.
I know. It's like I'm like subtweeting right now, but it's at you, Brent. I think for me, for a while I was playing martial characters like in home games, and I wanted to be like quick and stabby, and I wasn't really focused on like. But I, as Ashley, am a very like puzzle thinker and intellectual thinker, and I like strategy and I like that type of thing. So in approaching Adeline, she's very much like thought focused and very much like practical about those type of things. So this is the first time I've really gotten to flex that part of me as a character, and it feels really natural. And granted, like she takes it further than I would, but like it's really fun to bring that in, and to because like there are times when I'd be a rogue and we're trying to solve the puzzle, and it's like I can't make an intelligence throw to save my life, but I'm sitting there out of game, I'm like, oh, like I know what needs to happen, but like now Adeline like can very much do it, where and that is something that I also really enjoy.
Yeah, that's a great answer, and I love that everyone's just constantly committing to the bit and long term everything. It's beautiful.
Yes.
And what
Jay, as the DM, loves to see also like try and pick apart the entire storyline at level 7.
I'm like, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it.
I think you're onto something.
Yeah, it's so like bringing things to the table. I was running a few of these questions by some friends of mine, and I was like what about this? And they're like, and 9 out of 10 of them, being the assholes that they were like, food. I bring food to the table. I'm like, guys,
Just so literal.
yeah, very literal. And like they hadn't spoken to each other, but they all were like, we're not gonna answer him. just to mess with him. I'm like, you're the worst. But yeah, so I'm
In
glad
line with that, then I bring the books.
Yeah.
No one else has them.
Yeah, very
No
physical.
one else needs them.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. No, I think a collective, bringing humor to the table from everyone is just a great thing, as well as just general happiness and joy, and then the drama, of course. But yeah, no, I think everyone here, I from what I've known or from what I've seen playing with y'all, is you all bring it's like a sounding board. Everyone likes to play off of each other. I know that kind of rolls into the collective bit, but everyone is willing to try dang near. And if you go for a joke, it's either funny because people call you out because it's horrible, or it's funny because people will just take it that one extra step further. And I think that's such a beautiful thing. So I think I also bring that to the table, is just dumb humor, very lowbrow humor. But
It's very important.
it's great. So yeah, go ahead.
That listening aspect, I think, is really important, and it's something that is so key to, I think, our play style, where everyone has a recognition of okay, this is not my moment, and I'm going to be that sounding board. I'm going to ask the questions that's going to give your character the opportunity to explore these things and give you that platform. And I think that is also a really important thing to bring to your real life, be that person for people, but also especially in a game where you're trying to tell this concise story. And particularly with the pressure of streaming and having people watching and follow along, you want to be so mindful of that narrative and making sure that everyone gets to hit those beats. I think that's something that that's something I love to do in real life, is I love to get to know people, and I love to give them talk to them about what they're passionate about and get them going, because it just makes them feel so good. And I think that is something too for every D&D player to be mindful of and bring into a game, because that's how we progress, and I think it's so fun that way, and this party's really good at that listening aspect.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's one of the best sales tactics, is if you want to get someone talking, ask them a question about themselves.
Yeah.
But also probably the biggest tip that I can give to people when it comes to role play is the best role players aren't the main characters. The best role players are the ones that know when to step back. Even when they can feel oh, I know where this is going, but being able to step back and let someone else go. And that's something from theater and stuff, knowing that point that you need to start handing the scene to someone else.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to storytelling, it just becomes seamless, and you end up highlighting someone else as well, which always feels good.
Yeah, it definitely takes one, intuition. It takes a bit of practice. You don't get it just by not doing it. And then I'd also say a certain level of just emotional intelligence to be able to not just recognize, because recognize would be in that intuition, those moments where you can step back, but also empathizing with where you might see a character's story going, and being able to be oh, okay, let's you can nudge things in a way without being too overtly obvious about, hey, you should do this thing. I don't know, it definitely takes certain qualities in order to recognize those things when they're happening.
Yeah, qualities and practice. I think that's one of the big things I struggle with, is being quiet. There's a lot to be said in silence, and I tend to talk because I'm nervous about dead air. So I have to be. Whenever I'm quiet, it is a very conscious decision. If you ever see me just I'm be quiet, because I have to fill dead air. So it's something I constantly struggle with, but I've you have to just practice at it, and I've learned a lot about myself and other people by doing that. It's a really good practice of just, like you said, giving people the scene and being like, yeah, like they wouldn't have that if you had kind of hogged the spotlight, as it were.
Yeah. It takes so much time to get to that dynamic too. So like if you're comparing to your own table, like it takes some time. Like I remember lamenting to friends being like, oh my God, I just started this new D&D game talking about fables, and like the vibe is just like, I just don't see where I fit in with the party. Like I just feel like I'm so awkward, and like I feel like it's not working, and I was so anxious about it. And like, because I came into the party late, they already had dynamics and everything, and I was so like, it's not gonna work, it's just not gonna work, like all this stuff. And then like 2 weeks later, I was like, nah, we're the best party yet. Like we just like play off each other so well. And it just takes time to like understand everyone's like rhythm, because that's really what it comes down to. So like give yourself time to understand your table and your people, but you're gonna understand them better by listening, and that's huge. But yeah, I remember the first few weeks I was so upset and like was trying to like, I don't know, I just felt so much pressure. But it ended up, I feel like the party is just so cohesive now, and like I don't even question where I stand with it, because I'm like, no, they need me. Like, whereas at first I was like, it just doesn't make sense. Whatever.
That's so funny. I had no idea. You didn't tell me any of that.
No.
Wow.
Great.
We're just silently suffering. Not suffering.
Check in with your DMs.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true.
Use your toolkits.
I knew it would get better though. Like I knew it was just a matter of like
Anxiety.
Yeah, anxiety and finding everyone's rhythm, and kind of like, I expected animosity, like in character animosity. Like, and it was never out of game animosity, but just like that suspicion between people. I'm like, ugh. But, it happens.
Yeah. That late player being introduced always like sets off the what's she hiding? Like,
Exactly.
what
Oh
do they
yeah,
do?
100%.
Like, tell us your whole character backstory now. And I'm like, no. I was.
Just
And I lied to them
innocence.
like a lot in the beginning, and I don't think they realized that, or have realized it yet, because, yep.
Or whether they put two and two together to realize that stuff early on was half truth or lie.
Yep.
That's brilliant. Playing the long con, and I love that.
Yeah, it's fun.
Awesome. Well, I have another question for you. Let's go ahead and pull that up. In your years of playing tabletop RPGs, what have you discovered is one of your reasons for continuing to play, or even what renewed your interest in the games that we all play together?
I think we touched on some of it earlier, just in having a friend group to create new memories with, being like, it's such a rare thing to have on a weekly basis, and in your normal adult life. We don't get to play pretend anymore. We don't get to go out, knock on your friend's door to see if someone's home, to go outside. Like, as adults, you lose a lot of those opportunities, and I think having a space where you can meet once a week to say like, hey friends, like let's do something silly, like, is such an important part about, I don't know, I think it's just become a really important part in my life.
It's so beautiful.
It is.
I'm tearing up like a little bit, because that is so like, it captures that like, hey, let's go play pretend like in the backyard kind of vibe, but like you still need that, like, and you're right, you lose the opportunity for that, and it's that possibility that makes it so exciting. Like, for me, movies become really formulaic. I feel like I can predict it. I feel like I'm not interested in that. So then you move into video games where you have more possibilities, but like you're still on one of two paths, and it also feels formulaic, and you see where it's going, whatever. In tabletop, anything is possible to a degree. You
Goblin.
Goblin! Except Goblin is inevitable, and everything will always come back to Goblin. Goblin is the final answer. He is the end of all.
He created
Goblin
42.
Alpha and the Omega.
Yeah.
Yes, we know eventually we'll get to Goblin, but before that point, the possibilities are infinite, and it's so exciting to like go into the unexpected and to have a hand in the unexpected and have that like to see what you're shaping and like get that payoff of seeing like direct consequences of your actions like in this fantasy environment. Like that to me is what keeps it going and is also really fun from like the GM standpoint is like because you have all these possibilities of like and you don't know what your for me I never know what my best possible ending is. I just like can't wait to see what they're going to do and like having that is like it's chaotic but it's like so exciting to kind of like see the whole thing branch out and whatever and then you know yeah from a player perspective that's so satisfying and then yeah you're connecting things like that happened months ago and now you're like on this different thread and you're like with the red tape and everything just trying to like but it's so exciting and like yeah it's that play pretend it's that like okay my play name is gonna be this and your play name is gonna be this and I have a sword and you do like it's so like earnest and like allows you to kind of like strip away the reality and dive into that in a way that is so like pure. And I think you described it so perfectly. And I'm going to think about that later and I am going to cry.
For me, well, first off, welcome in, Bards of New York. Thank you for the raid. Hey guys.
Hello.
We're just hanging out. So yeah, I think you guys like hit the nail on the head. Like it was I always so it was like several things that kind of fell into place, right? So I always loved writing stories or reading them. I was a theater kid.
No.
Gasp.
Yeah. And then I got into video games like at a young age, and so like that was fun and whatever. And then you know, as I got older, it was just like the only thing I would play was RPG games. Like the only thing I would play because that's the only thing that interested me. I didn't want something linear. I wanted something where I could do what I wanted. Mm-hmm. But even that, like you said, is you funneled in, right? And then I finally got around to playing D&D, and it was like, holy shit, anything could fucking happen. And you know, and it's not just me. Like, I don't know what you know, what Mike's gonna do, or what Eric's gonna do, what else is gonna do. Like, and that could be buck fucking wild, and then it blows the story in this complete other fucking direction. And it's just like, oh yeah, let's go. And you just kind of ride that wave through. It's just, there's nothing like it. But yeah, I mean, since I played D&D, I have not played video games. Like I haven't touched them. I haven't even wanted to really. Oh, apart from that time that I smashed my kid at Tony Hawk's.
Nice.
That's just participating in a rite of passage. Let's just
I was like,
I think that's just being a dad.
Which button is jump? Okay.
Cook a combo.
I got all the skates.
In a combo. Yeah, so I mean, like there's just something super special about it, and I don't think I can add any more as on top of what you two had already kind of described. That's exactly how I feel about it as well.
Yeah, it's I couldn't add anything else to that either. It's a beautiful thing to be able to create such amazing random unexpected moments with such good people, and you know, tying this up in a little bow. We have those memories forever now, and it's something that we're going to talk about for years to come. So it's you don't get that with any other medium, really. At least not to the degree of tabletops. So it's I don't know how many times I've called out a moment from games we've all played together, and you know, and it's not even just D&D. You know, my first experience with Call of Cthulhu was with you as a DM also.
That was such a fun day.
And I talk about it all. I randomly go back and play that clip of. And this is out of context for the chat because this is how this works.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna stab that baby to death, and it's like, it's like what? And if I say that out loud in public, people look at me like I'm crazy. But it's
It
a
was
fun.
But
so
the
good.
funniest thing. Yeah.
Just like the amount of pure terror, but also just like, oh, stab that baby.
It's so great. It's just those moments that you live for. You wouldn't get that anywhere else. So.
We're gonna be in nursing homes, be like, one time I took on Tiamat, and they're like, sure, Grandma.
Sure.
It's from the Nine Hills. it's just beautiful. So yeah, I think renewed it's a renewed interest, but also the reason we continue to play, and it's going to be the reason we continue to play. So yeah, moving forward. Let's get to this next one here. What is a personal life skill, talent, or knowledge base that you have that you either love coming across or would love to see represented in a tabletop? So that could be, I mean, anything that you love outside of a tabletop, or something you've come across that you're like, yes, they included it, or I would love to see that. If there's any one of those moments that you've had or would like to see represented, what would that be?
In a new tabletop, or like within games that we've played, all of the above.
New tabletop and D&D and Call of Cthulhu, anything that you have either come across where you're like, that's incredible, yes, they put it in here, or something, or even just it could be a skill like woodworking or something, you know, anything that you'd like, the attention to detail, anything at all that you'd love to see like in a D&D game that you haven't seen, or something you have seen that you'd love to see more of.
Like Brennan Lee Mulligan's fascination with birds.
Yes.
His bird knowledge is just
Crows are smart. Yes, exactly that.
I feel like I do the reverse of this a lot, where like I've taken on, I'm going to teach myself how to light a fire with a flint and steel, and I did. I want to learn how to lockpick, so I got a lockpick kit, and all this stuff. And now so there are things I'm like dedicated to bringing into my real life from the game. But now I'm trying to think of like the opposite. Maybe like I feel like mending is the most underrated cantrip, and like if that, and like just the act of like repairing things and like fusing things to create new things was like, because I sew and like I love making things in that regard. Like if that was something that like had more of a like gamification element, I think that could be really fun, especially like crafting new items, kind of like that was my favorite part of The Last of Us, where you like get all these bits and bobs and like you make something new that is useful. That is something I would love to see kind of be more incorporated in the TTRPG space. Like just crafting in that way, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the exact same way. I've recently gotten into, like, I used woodworking as an example. Like in here, all the wood beams and stuff, like I learned how to like, I think one time during a Fables game, I was like, hey, look what I'm doing. I'm outside sanding and staining wood while I'm listening to Fables. Like I learned, I spent hours online researching the best way to sand and stain and seal wood for a D&D room, like full circle.
That's awesome.
Like learning like your campfire skill. Like it's really cool to make something new. So the crafting thing, I completely am on board for.
Yeah, Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I believe that there are like crafting mechanics and things built into Savage Worlds.
Ooh.
Okay.
Interesting.
Which is for those of you that don't know, Savage Worlds is the more generalized rule set that was taken from Deadlands. which is like a weird old west with undead and weirdness happening. Set of rules, and that they just kind of like generalized it out so you can apply it to whatever setting you want, like superheroes or futuristic or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just a set of mechanics. But I believe that I believe I've seen like uses of those mechanics in order to craft things or to make things or to like fix stuff to make other things work by taking bits like to to like MacGyver things together, like that kind of thing. I've seen that used in Savage Worlds, so that might be.
Yeah, I love that kind of thing.
I mean, crafting I think can be hard to do in tabletop games because I played Pathfinder for a long time, and there's extensive rules for like everything, and there's so many add-ons you can find online, and people like wrote rules for it, and like they work well, but it's so hard to come to a table and as a player be like, I want to spend the next 15 minutes explaining like what I'm doing with this crafting, why it makes sense because I read all the rules. Like it's hard to incorporate that and make it feel like fluid, whereas I think there could be a better way to incorporate things like crafting, where it's a conversation between you and the DM offline, and you just bring something.
Yeah. I think a really cool aspect of that is, and I've talked about this before, is it's very similar to like a motivational quest system where you say like like before the game starts, you give the DM 3 things you want your character to accomplish, right? So that helps flesh out your character. You could do that with like the details. Like when I saw this, when I wrote this question, the first thing that came to mind to me was coming across something where when when a DM knows a lot about a very specific topic. So it's like if they go into like the mechanics of like of making a guitar or something, they're like, yeah, they had to like shape the body and make sure it was round enough to carry a low enough tone, and you're like, you know what you're talking about. I need more of that shit. Like, it could be any topic, like whatever it is. And that's kind of the stuff I love to see, and working with your DM on that of like, hey, I'm really interested in this topic, and to actually see a DM or even a character in the reverse role go that extra step of research and be into that one specific detail. It's just makes it that much more immersive for that one character. You love to see it.
I think what I would love to see as well. I mean, I didn't know both of you were so into just like random hobbies and things. Like I pick up hobbies like nobody's business. Like for example, today I was telling you about the loquat tree outside that I made some jam out of. I also learned that some Google searching that the leaves can be made into a tea that's like really great for like throat, but you have to do some like processing. So at some point today I was like scraping the fuds off of these leaves and then like cutting them up, and now I'm storing them in a jar to dry out, and I'll have like something set aside. Like I would love a mechanic though where like you could learn new skills that weren't necessarily like for leveling up but like specifically for like role play. And ways to incorporate like, oh, like you've spent X amount of time like with this person and you now have a new type of skill. And not like doesn't give you pluses to like a specific role, but like you can do something extra, like here's the rule set for like that extra thing.
That's what I love about the skill tree in Cthulhu, because you have your occupational, but then you get to choose all these hobby skills too that really flesh out your character. And they're so random. And like, granted, like, yes, accounting, if you choose a skill in that, it could come into play if you're like trying to decipher a ledger, but it's also like you could just be something random. For me, that game is my funnel of all my useless, like, it's not useless. I love like history and literature knowledge. Like I am such a old school like nerd in that regard, and I'm like, I'm going to make a map that's based off of this book that was written by this one person, and they're gonna know. And like usually they don't know, but sometimes they know, and it's just like it's so satisfying, and like it's so cool to funnel those things into the games. But like I think too, the fact that we're interested in this game and like whatever makes us go on these like your little herbalism side quest and like my little lockpicking side quest and all these things. I feel like it empowers us to seek out these skills because it's like useful in a way, but it's also like,
yeah. I see. Just seeing you all talk about this. Sorry, I'm just like, yeah. Sorry, Jay.
No, you're good. I feel like not to be that guy being a Mercer stan, but I feel like campaign 1 of Critical Role did a good job of both of those things. Well, because they took so fucking long to do it. But Percy's tinker checks whenever he had an idea, it was like a couple of dice rolls to whether it worked out. It was like a couple of DCs in Matt's head. It was like it worked or it didn't, and then you could try it again later, and that just kept it flowing. Like, this is my idea, okay, roll.
Or how many times like Percy would like he and Matt would have a very quick quip saying like, that thing we talked about, can I do that? Like stuff like that. Like they brought it offline and then brought it into the games. Like, I think makes it so seamless.
Yep. Like, hey, this is what Percy's thinking about making.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's like, okay, I've already got DCs in my head. I'm gonna do that thing. Okay, make these rolls. So he did like handled that really, really well. And also, oh man, what was the other thing we were talking about? It was crafting and
Eric's herbalism.
Oh, skills, yeah. So downtime.
Cool
He used
skills.
downtime downtime so much in campaign 1.
Yes.
And for no like big skill reason, or if you spend this long doing this, you'll get this feat or whatever.
Yeah.
It was just like, fuck, they made the Slayer's cake. Like, they opened a bakery. Like, and that was just a thing that they did. And so, like, they got better at business and things because they had to learn how to do it.
But it fleshes out the world.
Yeah, there's just some really like cool moments that add nothing to the story really in that, but it's handled really well in that game.
Absolutely.
It can be important to incorporate into the games. Like, a lot of the times you're just going, however long a day is in the game. Like, it's just, maybe it took 4 weeks to to play like one day in game, but making sure to allow players to break off and be like, okay, you have a week in this town. Like, can you want to just like describe what generally you want to do over this time? Can be really important to like sow those seeds to character development or like building out your world. Because you can do something like open a bakery, like or start a blood bank for vampires.
That was my favorite part of y'all's. I think that's when I started watching and I was like, what is happening? It was like,
hear me out.
Business model. It was a great business model.
Thank you.
Everyone wins.
I didn't want to kill any vampires.
Yeah.
Couldn't kill them. Too high level.
Yeah. Yep. Can't beat
Gotta
them.
figure out a different solution.
Yeah. Start
They're
high.
here to stay.
Start high. I'm gonna kill you. Negotiate down. Let's go into business together.
Oh man.
If you can't kill them, start a business with them.
I don't know. I don't know a personal life skill, talent. I don't know. Knowledge base. I definitely love incorporating my love of Celtic and Nordic mythology into games, and I kind of bend things so it's not like, oh, that story, okay, I know what happens, but I'll take stories and kind of weave them in to make it sort of D&D-ified, like Fenris and things. Like, we did that, who's a god in Gallia, and that whole area is kind of very heavily like Norse oriented, but there's also like sprinklings of that throughout the entire world, but not like the entire thing is set in Sweden, bitch. Like there's just like little bits and pieces of it. So that's something that I love adding in. I don't know about what I'd like to see. I enjoy exploring other people's like worlds because I know what's involved in such a labor of love making a world that I enjoy exploring other people's and being like, oh, okay, that's how that works here. All right.
Yeah. Just kind of poking around, finding like, oh, okay, I see what you did. Oh, okay, I like that. I've seen this. And you're definitely right with the like coming across that like Nordic or like kind of Viking-esque style thing and making it your own. You can definitely tell where people change things, and that's where the real fun I think begins. Because going back to the last question, it's new and exciting. You don't know where it's gonna go. It's kind of a fun personal twist on stories that you may or may not know, or they may or may not know. So it's a really cool thing. So definitely using your knowledge base to your advantage is great. And going back a little bit earlier too, Eric, you mentioned something about how, or actually Jay and Eric, you were talking about how they Percy kind of prepped that in Critical Role. It's a PSA for all of you out there. DMs aren't the only ones that can prep. So as a player, you also can prep for your game, which I think goes unsaid quite a bit. So be sure to prep as a character. If you want, it's a choice. But if you want to be more immersive and you want to have those small little moments of head nods and like, the thing, let's do the thing. And you can do that. Just you got to prep yourself as a player and just talk to your DMs.
And buy the books. Don't just rely on your DM to bring them all.
Buy the
I'm
books.
not salty at all.
Losers.
Yeah. So,
Read.
just read. Oh, it's
but yeah,
great.
Norse mythology is another one of those like, and Welsh Celtic mythology. It's one of those subjects, another one of those like word vomit subjects for me, where I'm like talking and then all of a sudden I'm like reciting like the Eddas and stuff, and I'm like, oh no,
I've gone too far.
We're 5 chapters in and they haven't said anything. But what I really love about the gods in Norse and Celtic mythologies is that they weren't these like benevolent beings that knew everything and were just like this omniscient power. It's like, they were special, that's why they were gods, but they were all completely fallible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely something that I've taken into Galia, especially, is that they're all individuals. They've all got their own agendas and things. So like, who's to say that they don't fuck up every once in a while? Or
Right.
This aligns with Adeline's worldview so well.
They don't allow their extremes to take them off of like the path of reason.
It's more interesting that way.
Yeah.
In creating you don't always have to create like a pantheon to start a game, but in creating like the ruling creators, I should say, I got a lot of like inspiration from like Neil Gaiman, Sandman, and American Gods in just that the same thing. It's like these are beings created out of like a specific feeling or an emotion or an attachment to something, and they are the embodiment of that idea, and that idea is on its own like flawed, like by itself, like without context from things around it. I think you can create very interesting primordial beings when you incorporate those types of flaws and desires. Like what they want will inevitably become like a problem if they get it.
Yeah.
100%. That's like my tabletop album is about Odin, and it's about his story, because I find his story, his backstory, like the story that's happening in the background while everything else is happening, is one of the most interesting to me, because he's like the god of knowledge and wisdom, but he's the most fucking paranoid person ever. Like taking his eye out and putting it in Mimia's pool and things so he can keep one eye on the future. But then he never has both eyes on the present, so he's missing what's happening in the now. And like all of the like, I have to stop Ragnarok, and by wanting to stop it accelerates it actually happening.
Wow.
And so yeah, I love all that shit. But yeah, see,
No, it's great, and combining those two, I not too long ago read Neil Gaiman's Norse mythologies.
So good.
He loves it so much.
It's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that was really interesting what you said about the creating a primordial or kind of omniscient being, or maybe not omniscient, but like a creator of a world, and making it an emotion or a focus. Hey, Sir Pfeffers, an Owlin Way of the Long Death Monk. Thank you for the follow.
What?
That's
I love that.
incredible.
Too.
Write it down.
That is so good.
There's some good
Visual.
combos. Some good
Yeah.
combos come out of those follows. But yeah, the taking an emotion or a specific focus, whether that's like fear or hatred, or or like a thought or idea like power or something like that, and making that a god-specific like domain. And like you said, without context, that can really get hairy quick, because if you put just that thought, idea, emotion, whatever that is, into a certain scenario, I mean, that creates a lot of interesting story for development. So I think taking that route in your creation is really, really unique.
Having villains with just motives has been such a big help in the way I started telling D&D games. Like, it's not a plan, it's just you just stick to the motive. And I didn't really get that until I ran Curse of Strahd, or just any published campaign, because when I was just spitballing, just like making it up as I go, this is, as you do, you try to plan a lot and things. But when I started running a published campaign, I was like, oh, there's like no story here. It's just a bunch of people and places where like motives are like being inserted, and then the rest of it is how you interact with it. It's like, oh, that makes it like way different to run and a lot more simplified.
Yeah, it's a like a list of reactions and how the players then react to those reactions that are happening that shape everything. Yeah. Gray villains are the best.
Oh yeah.
Gray villains are the best.
Yep.
The ones that like your like chaotic neutral players kind of go, oh,
I see.
those are the best. Comic books taught me that.
Oh yeah.
Ozymandias, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh, the ultimate.
So yeah, Gray villains are dope. I did see like a cool question.
Yeah, that is a good question. I'm gonna pop that up on the screen actually. Let's go ahead and just do that.
Your
Let's go ahead and do that.
Also, I saw Aranoiel post their phonetic name.
Aranoiel.
That makes it sound easy.
Related from Cinderin. I did that too, way back in middle school, and made something unpronounceable from my name that I will. I'm glad we all went through that phase together.
Yeah. It was a fun time. We're trying to figure out. I went through that phase when I read Lord of the Rings, and then Lord of the Rings came out like as I was reading it, and I was like, I've been pronouncing everything wrong. I'm a fool at like 11 years old.
That is the Matt Mercer thing though, right? Like all the words he pronounces wrong because he learned them from reading rather than hearing them in context. So
I learned with Matt.
He's like, I spent a lot of time on my own reading books, guys.
Yeah. I think I learned with Matt when he realized like Iker wasn't pronounced Iker, it's Icor.
Is it really?
Is it really?
Yeah,
Iker sounds so much better.
it does. It sounds so much better. Like every time I've read it, I always pronounce it that way. But Google
Iker.
it.
Iker.
It's
Yeah.
It goes Icor.
Like
Like,
sigil is sigil. It should never be sigil, but Iker?
The
Iker's
place.
Iker.
The place. Sigil.
There's a place?
Yeah, it's the city of portals in D&D Planescape.
I never played it.
I learned that through Magic the Gathering.
Is it spelled the same way as sigil?
It is, but it's
Oh.
pronounced sigil.
Nah,
And
not in
Paul-
my life.
Paul told
Not in
me
my
that
world.
not-
Pronounce
Paul
it
told me
Iker.
that not long ago, and I was like, "What?" And I was like, "No, it's still sigil in my head. Sigil sounds stupid."
Sigil is
Yeah.
silly.
The Takior said the same thing about Drow and Dro. I get that. I've done that before. But also,
Throw your boat.
yeah, Dro your boat. Row your boat. Yeah, Takior actually asked the question that I put up on the screen, which is a good one. Good call out, Jay. Do you feel that characters wait for a big reveal to discuss their background story? They've seen this a lot in a game that they play and feel that it limits the characters from opening up. What do you guys think?
I like to
So-
breadcrumb it. I feel like
Yeah.
in real life, we tend to breadcrumb it, and sometimes you just let something slip in combo, and you're like, oh wait, that's tied to like this other thing, but like that's a lot to go into. And then like if they take, and not necessarily that you're laying bait, but then if someone picks up on it, it's like, wait, hold up, and ask you a question, then cool. But if not, then like it's kind of really satisfying to be like, for it to come up later organically. I don't know. But I feel like we also are very much like mindful that we all have these stories to tell. So like it's like, so tell me, where do you come from? What's your whole thing? Like, you know?
I was just wandering
I'm
around.
gonna call you out on that being a part of the Fables crew, because you guys were like stonewalling each other about
Yeah.
everything, like
For
I ain't
sure.
telling you shit. To the point where I had to create an entire arc for you guys to have to start opening up to one another. So yes, yes, holding your cards too close to your chest can be, I wouldn't say problematic, but it doesn't help the story along, and it prevents bonds from being formed as well.
Mhm.
But so here's the thing, and it's the same with puzzles and descriptions of things. The players will get things wrong in their head. You don't need to try and throw them off the path. They will, without fail, come up with 1,000,001 red herrings by themselves. So I would go right up to the line that you want to stop at with your backstory to be like, here's a little bit, but then take one more step. Just go one more step past the point where you're like, I'm holding everything close, but I'm giving them a little bit. That extra step will help everyone else start to engage with player backstories. Just because you like I say, you just invent a million things in your head, and so you get it completely wrong, and then it's kind of going off the path that you wanted to be on. So one step over. That's my tip.
Yeah, I think what really helped in our game is like almost, or everyone had some sort of connection to each other. So, and I've this is something I'm incorporating into my games that I run, is making sure that there is some sort of like characters, or they know each other, or like siblings, or like they cross paths, something in order to like make sure that there's an established trust at the very beginning. Because like when you throw a bunch of strangers meeting in a tavern together, like it's a very awkward like first encounter where you're like, well, why am I going to tell you my whole life story? Like, what's prompting me to do that? But like for Zia, being wanted by basically like an entire country, like on the run, and then having two of those characters be the bounty hunters looking for him, like that already like spawns like stirs the pot to allow for backstory to kind of come out naturally, like during the story, which I thought worked really well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the meet in a tavern, the meet cute, as it were. My favorite thing, one of my favorite things to do is that y'all meet in a tavern, and it's like okay, it's like no, y'all are meet in a tavern. You're hanging on hooks, like
Oh my God.
and like that plot twist. But yeah, it's definitely something that it's kind of a hurdle to get over, I think. And Betty actually said that in the chat. It's Team Slow Burn.
Well, it's good when you approach with that like listening mindset and that curiosity mindset for other people, and that like helps to get those conversations going and for you to like pick up when, you know, because some people will try to be subtle about it and some people will just like lay everything out, but there's a middle ground that I think is like, well it just depends on what's true to your character, really. But if you like lead with curiosity, you can kind of like pick it up and be like, hold on, let's circle back on that, maybe. Like the Lily is a dead girl reveal in Fables was so like, it was like a touch point, and then they moved on, and then where I was like, hold on, no, let's rewind the tape real quick. Let's get into this.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, and I think that was kind of the impetus for everyone starting to be like, all right, and well, here's my thing, and like whatever, because we knew, like, yeah.
It's important to have those catalysts. Yeah.
It was all those the nightmares that everyone was having. That was kind of exacerbating everything from their backstory that was their worst fears. And so eventually they had to start talking about the dreams, not necessarily the backstory, which kind of gives you hints to the backstory. Which then, you know, everyone ran with. But now you guys are so much closer as a party.
It's true. It worked.
So much closer in undeath. I think you know, you can. There's a lot of ways to get characters' backstories, but coming to the table with both a curious mind and you know, they're gonna be the player that, it's kind of like one of those like do unto others, that kind of rule of if you're curious in others' characters and backstories and you're just here for it, it'll be reciprocated. You know, like the amount of effort you put into your character. And people will find out yours, and you'll find out theirs, and that's what makes it a good mutual storytelling thing, is learning each other's characters and the ins and outs at a pace that gets set by everybody collectively. So,
and backstories don't also have to be like revealed in like one go.
Yeah, that's true.
People are complicated. I can't possibly begin to tell like my life story to you all in 30 minutes. Like, even though I may have
speed run us your life, Eric.
Yeah. All right, I'll do this. I was kidding. But yeah, like I think what's also important though is like it is remembering it is an evolving story. So maybe you had a backstory that you prepped, you wrote, and you know it works, and you might want to keep some things closer to you and not share, but other parts you've shared with the group. But they can also change. Or you can continue to add more to your backstory to fill in more gaps that you didn't know were there. Like it's my character has certainly gone through a lot of evolution in its own backstory as I've just played more and become more of a specific character. Like, and I think that's kind of the fun part.
Yeah, it's like getting to know your character like retroactively.
Yeah.
Right? Where you kind of like, oh, he's going to be like this, he's going to be like that. And then you start playing and it's like, well, he's not really like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of more like this, really. And
100%.
So then that kind of filters back and you're like, well, and then you can play and mold with the backstory. But absolutely, you don't need to like dish the whole dirt in one session. To clarify with the Fables thing, they just wouldn't talk about anything. So that
We have secrets.
yeah, it may have been a little bit of my fault in there as well, though. So I created two groups that kind of met one another, and then those two groups met together. And so I think I created accidentally a little bit of factionism early on that kind of contributed to that a little bit. And so maybe as a DM, I should have had things in place earlier on to start kind of moving those beats forward.
But it also, like, and I think it was very true to real life. Like, there's the sisters and there's the brothers who like have built-in confidants within each other. So like, as a player, I was hearing their conversations and everything that was going on with them, but they didn't necessarily reveal anything to our like the other characters because they had that built-in like support system. Why would they talk to anyone else? They're strangers. And I think that that's a very real dynamic to like explore, but like I think that also made it more impactful when we broke down that wall to be like, okay, now we're all family, like in a sense, you know, which you'd never catch Adeline say. But you know, I can admit it.
Very true. Very true. I think you know, it's you know, you speaking of those like built-in relationships, that's those conversations you have with other players before the game too. Those are so important, you know, like, or do you know each other? Do you not know each other? That's such a, I know when Jay and I had never met before at all. And now it's like, and now, you know, 2-3 years later, it's like, we're the two best friends. And it's like, it's great, you know, it forms a fun friendship, and it's in both the game and out of it. And so that kind of big brother, little brother relationship, however you want to see it, or, you know, siblings, best friends in game, you know, that definitely plays a part, you know, of, I wouldn't like, and our characters tend to RP a lot closer than others because of that.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's great. It's pro great. But yeah, no, I mean that goes for any two characters. You know, it's just a fun thing to have that built-in thing of, hey, I can at least lean on a character. And if you're that solo character, outside of that, that's also a fun challenge to know you know it kind of makes you be invested in others' backstory, so you can kind of be a part of it and earn that trust throughout the game, and get to that point where you're role playing with them constantly.
I think in our party, it like, because it's Adeline and Lost that are kind of outside of either of those dynamics, and it just reinforces their own individualism to where they're like, oh, well, I don't need anyone. I can handle everything on my own anyway. And like, for good or bad, they both, I think, not to speak for Paul, but Adeline definitely feels that way. And like, so, you know, and that's not true, and we've seen it not be true. Like, and that was fun, and like I love the humbling moments for those, like you give your character these biases that then like are enforced by the dynamic, and then like getting that kind of like confronted is like such a satisfying part of character development.
I think as an outsider, like, I'm thinking about Zia relating to like Lucius and Osmond, and like the dynamic. I know what Lucius does as like an intelligent character to Osmond, and I love like kind of breaking it down in a way that I can like serve it to Osmond and be like, well, what do you think of this? Like, if Lucius did this, like when you found out that he was using your reflective chest to look at playing cards to cheat at like cards, like I love just like walking you through how that played out, but like you're just like, no, I was just the helper, like I stood by and watched, like
moral support sure that, in a strategic position.
Yeah, I don't know, stuff like that is just so funny to get to explore, and I don't know.
Oh yeah, and you're creating like new dynamics as well. Yeah, while you do that, it's great.
Yeah. Lesser known facts: we actually came up with several plays, like set pieces.
Beforehand?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like way back when.
I love that.
Before we even started playing.
Yeah, before.
That's right. Yeah. I've heard you guys hint at them a couple times, like oh, should we do like this thing? Yeah, I love that.
I love that.
Yeah, that one was like a 2-year con in the making.
Yeah, that didn't come up for so long. But like the cards thing, like so Lucius and Osmond met in the village town of Bell Glen. And so it's like a small, quaint, like fishing village. And so that would be Lucius's cue to Osmond would be to mention something about Bell Glen. Oh yeah, that reminds me of that time that we went fishing in Bell Glen, and he goes into position like behind people so I can read cards.
So funny.
It's great. It is. It's just fun playing those types of characters. Like I usually play paladin type characters, but it's fun playing a sort of not dumb but just ignorant character.
Naive.
Naive, innocent. Yeah, like unbeknownst to me, and just raw trust. And it's fun to play because usually I'm the no. Like it's playing the we have rules here person, but with a total slant, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's definitely been fun, like playing with people as well. Because like initially, almost everyone thought that I was just completely using Osmond for whatever I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a robot servant kind of relationship, and it was funny because that's how I had positioned it, so that Lucius had convinced himself that that's what he was doing, but he was actually like super like protective and caring over Osmond and things. And there was a couple of moments that started kind of opening it up to a couple of the players, but not characters. But yeah, it was super fun dynamics to pull up.
Oh yeah, especially now I know what I am, given our backstory. Yeah, Carabiners. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And going back to the question, there's a lot of ways you can reveal your backstory. Some folks like to wait for big reveals, and it doesn't have to be all of it. Some people do breadcrumbs. There's pre-relationship backstory you have with other players. But all in all, it's kind of the way you want to roll out your character. Just be mindful not to throw red herrings in where you don't need them. So yeah, summing that up with a bow. We'll move on to our last question of the evening, and it's a bit lighthearted and one that I absolutely love to ask. Give us an example of something you love to see other players or even the DM do that just makes you happy to be at the table.
Something that someone else does that makes you happy.
Yeah.
Fail.
Yeah.
That was.
It does make me laugh.
I'd love to see someone incorporate a one narrative. You know what I mean? Like lean into it rather than just get pissed off and even if they don't get pissed or disappointed, like, well, I guess it doesn't work. It's like, okay, no, I'm gonna fail at this, and like it makes sense because, and you know what I mean? Like
own it, yeah.
Into failure, I think is half the fun. Like, yes, it's fun to roll nat 20s, but I love rolling low and like being bad at stuff sometimes because it is more interesting.
If it leans into narrative, yes, absolutely.
Sure.
But I think Brennan Lee Mulligan does a pretty good job of that, like coming up with a very quick, like nuanced, how you fucked up that roll, like whether it's like, you know, insight checks, and he'll just straight up be like, oh, the person's telling the truth. Oh, I'm gonna roll an insight check to see if blah blah blah, and they roll in that one, like she's fucking lying to you.
Yeah.
Oh, like, I have to now believe
Just
they're
totally
lying. Yeah.
It's so great.
Even rolling low or failing something and adding just like a small bit of flavor, like I don't know which it's happens all the time, but like maybe a perception check and you roll low. It's like, oh well, I was, you know, I guess I was really into that conversation like with so and so that we were just having. That's why like I didn't perceive this. Like adding like just small flavor like that just kind of helps solidify why something happens, and it kind of goes a long way.
It helps that buy-in to the world and everything.
It reminds me of when. Do you remember in Fables also when you guys were trying to get into the upper echelon, and so it wasn't you. That was when they met you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Stax' character Rhapsody was like taking off in like the early wee hours to go like scout the area, and he kept rolling so badly. Perception checks and things, and so it was like, every time you look up, that sunrise just seems to be right in that spot, and it's like, ugh.
For me, it was building so much anticipation because I was like, okay, that if he rolls good on perception, that's my character, like that's my intro, like he's gonna see me or something maybe, and I was like behind the scenes like, okay, this is it, this is okay, God. No, that ain't it, not quite, and then like, okay, maybe this one, maybe it's gonna no. Okay, all right. But it was like, it like built all this tension to then like, for me, I was anxious to like, that was going to be my first introduction. And then it like cut that anxiety into nothing because it was so funny that it just like kept happening. Like, yeah, I love a fail, and I love like the buy-in of a fail. I also love to see people use their abilities in like weird ways, which I think has really helped with like the flex point system, but also like just in general, when someone's just gonna like, even like a martial character, like they're gonna use their weapon to like interact with the environment rather than hurt like an enemy, is always so satisfying to me to like see when people are thinking outside the box. And I think everyone's had their moments of kind of doing that in a way that I just love.
Yeah, when you get like swashbuckling moments, that's really cool. Like, I'm gonna fucking cut the rope and drop the chandelier. Yeah. Talking about using abilities in weird ways, that just reminds me of Legends not too long ago, when we all used magic to get hits.
To what?
That was an episode. We went on a hallucinatory like day trip with all of the spells at our disposal.
Yeah. I used Phantasmal Force to make people believe that they went on trips.
Wild.
I did a whole hallucinatory terrain to just change the entire landscape. It was great.
That was awesome.
Oh, I cast slow on everyone as well, so we were like,
oh, that's amazing.
I cast animate. I cast animate objects at the end.
That's right. Animate objects on all the benches and stuff, right?
Yeah, so everything just came to life. We're like, what?
That's so good.
The best part was you cast hallucinatory terrain. Was
hallucinatory terrain?
Yeah. And
just like a massive area.
Yeah, it's huge and it lasts forever. Like
a day.
It's a powerful spell.
It is. Oh, it was so funny. That was one of my all-time favorite moments for sure. It's such a weird way to use magic, and I love it.
It's changed the spells I'm taking in the future. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
I think additionally though, like things that I like seeing other players do at the table is giving space to other people and being just excited to hear how someone else is telling a story, which I feel like doesn't always happen when you play. I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't always happen when you play like in person, when you're just kind of like goofing around. But like when you're trying to tell like a real story on like a stream, like it's so nice to be able to like sit back and watch, one of your backstories get unfolded to you. And you're just equally as involved with like learning about it. I could sit for 3 hours and say nothing or roll like no dice and still be like really stoked to like listen and play. Like that's still playing to me. And I think when players come with that kind of open-mindedness and willing to hear someone else's story, like I think it really goes a long way.
Absolutely.
There are definitely moments I forget I'm on stream and I'm just like ping-ponging, like watching everything happen between people. And I'm like, oh wait, okay, I'm
I'm here too.
like, I'm here, but it's like, but I'm just like, I get absorbed in the show of it all, and it's just so, because everyone's so good and they're so like believable, and they are their characters, and it's just like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I was like, Adeline, where did that popcorn come from? Yeah.
Oh.
You can see me. That's great. Yeah, it is something special seeing the immersion in moments that we have, and like you said, it doesn't have to be moments. It can be an entire session of just really, really good back and forth between everybody, or just even a small group, and you're just like enthralled by the level of role play. It could be the role playing itself, or it could just be the scenario where they're collectively learning something unique about their character or backstory that you're like that collective gasp moment, like, oh wait, I'm here too. Okay, right. Okay, it's such a cool thing to be a part of and experience. I love those moments.
My favorite part of being a GM is to set up a scenario with like a small hook and just kind of drop it off into my players, and then just kind of drift into the background, and then just see everyone like become so immersed in it and interact with it and things. I'm like just watching you guys go.
I like seeing that as a player too, when like there's a moment where like, because usually you're kind of like, but like your posture will change and you're just kind of like,
oh, when you sit back.
my world, like it's all yes, and I'm just like, okay. But it, like, you know, it's really satisfying too, because it makes it like us feel like we're on like some kind of rails, like to a next destination or something or whatever, to like have that. But it is funny to see like the tells, and it's really fun to break you, Jay. Like
It doesn't happen too often. If I'm playing an NPC, it doesn't happen that often.
That's even better, because you know that it's difficult. It's such a better, like, I'm like, oh, I got him. It is good, or that is unique, or it's so much more satisfying. I contribute that to like making someone laugh that's really hard to make laugh. Like when you make a person who doesn't laugh very often laugh, you're like, that is funny. It doesn't matter who it is. That's good. So it makes it all the more fun. So it's definitely something I love to see at the table for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something really rewarding as a DM when you get to just like take a step back and you're like, wow, I didn't have to talk for like 30 minutes. And like that, and you just have players that are like discussing a plan, or like, you know, arguing about like what the right thing to do is, and like that's when you know you've done a good job in setting things up, that you're not just telling like your story, you're allowing them, like, yeah, once you've given them that space, you're like, all right, like let them deal with this for a while. It's really rewarding.
That's it. When the only times you're speaking is they're like, DM would blah 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 blah, and you're like, well, you know this. And it's like, okay,
yeah.
like, oh, okay.
You just get out, like, go get some pizza, and use the restroom.
Yeah, that's it. There's so many good moments that you can have at a table that you just love to see. It's from like, whether it's nat 20 moments or nat 1 moments or dramatic moments or just breaking people. It's why we're at the table, and I live for those moments. So yeah. Well, with that, I think, friends, we come to a close for our Q&A. So thank you for being a part of our first big deep dive. We do have a giveaway that we're doing. Are we doing that today? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on stream. That's the rule.
That is the rule. So yeah, if you are in the chat, this is so much fun. I completely agree. I love these people so much. If we haven't gotten that point across, I don't think you've been listening. But we do gush about each other quite a bit. And thank you all for being here as well. We love you just as equally. We may not see your faces on the screen, but we definitely feel your presence in the chat and all the love and support in the Discord. And we wouldn't be able to do this without you. So a big thank you for being here and supporting us. And we hope to continue to make more collective memories with you all in the future. So again, if you're in the chat and you're in the US, hit ! giveaway for our giveaway. We'll be running that here in just a few seconds while I find someone to raid, so you have a little bit of time. Anyone else have any closing thoughts while we're kind of finishing out the session here?
Well, we all of us on stream will be at Gen Con this year.
It's coming up soon.
It is. It's like 60 days.
It seems
left
far
then.
away, but every time, like
Yeah,
getting
it
closer.
snuck up. But yeah, we're gonna be at Gen Con. So if you're coming to Indy to come and like be at the show, try and find us. We'll probably be together. I'm running a game on the main stage on Saturday. It's Oops All Himbos with some pretty awesome people. So that's actually picking up quite a bit of steam. So that'll be ridiculous and silly in all of the best ways. But yeah, so we'll be there, so you can come and say hi and notice that we have legs.
Check out our legs.
Maybe.
Look at them.
I do have legs. I will.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There's nothing above the knee.
I can't do that SpongeBob voice, but I'm glad that's a meme right now. Ooh, my leg!
Oh yeah.
That one. Background. Love it.
That's great. So yeah, we'll go ahead and call the giveaway. I did put a link in the chat to the panel and the live play show that Jay will be running in the chat. So go check those out. So we're gonna be doing the giveaway here. Let's see what we got. We're gonna be rolling it. You got to be in the chat to win. Let's do this. Polly! Hey! Are you here? Gotta say something, or else we're moving on.
Oh no!
Polly. Polly.
I'm gonna check the chat list. No, he's not there.
Oh no!
Oh
That boy.
Okay, I'll give it another 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, maybe a 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we'll re-roll it. Y'all have another chance.
Don't tell Polly that he must.
We won't tell Polly. Hey, Tyler! Hey, there he is. He just flipped a table in the chat. That's so I know he's here. Nice.
Yeah. Well, you're already in the Discord. But those of you who aren't should join. Talk to us about games and stuff and other things. But yeah, go ahead and give me a message and just say Particle Blast. And yeah, that's the name. That's the name of the device. Yeah,
got it. Right. It's like, why?
There is.
That's the code word.
That makes sense.
What a unique thing to say.
They're really cool. Hold on, let's see if I can.
Oh,
Wow, they are rainbow.
That's pretty cool.
There you go. See.
Is there anyone that we
Congratulations.
Is there anyone that we want to raid tonight? Is there anyone that we should? I can pick at random if you like. We have Legends of Evantris. We have Darling Creepshow, Dorktales. We have
No Man is on.
No Man. You want to do No Man?
Yeah.
Let's do No Man. She's doing a game called Oops All Boggles.
I love
Oh
boggles.
my god.
Boggles are incredible.
You're so silly.
So yeah, we'll go raid No Man. Be sure to give them a follow. Use a raid emote. If you stick around for the raid, you do get more channel points that you can use here. So be sure to do that. Send her some love. But until next time, friends, we'll see you next week. I think we're off this week for Fables, correct? Okay, so we'll see you next week at some point. I'm sure we'll have something in the works. But stay tuned, whether that's next Monday. I don't know what's going to happen, but we'll stay tuned. On our offline screen, you'll see our schedule pop up. It'll be updated in the next few days. Have a great night. We're going to be raiding Gnome Ann. Take care, friends, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Bye.